I'm just going to do this statement really quickly so it is out there. Look, I'm sure I've done plenty of exactly the same for the last 9 years, but I want to make sure that the information that I've said, it's out there in public forums and across the internet. So that way, if it ever goes to court, no magistrate is going to ever stand up and say, well, you never told anyone, Justin, because yeah, I did. So there was a spread of information that was incorrect in March 2013. I've got the documents. I've got the documents where Giovanni forged my signature on fake medical documents that said he was a carer, where he took that to George Jacobs, and George Jacobs, he asked him to write a doctor's note so he could have March 2013 off work. Now, March 2013 was Fair Day plus other gay sort of groups and things, and of course, whatever else was going on with Mardi Gras and that at the time. But more importantly, I had already had everything planned to be in America in March 2013. So what happened, so I can give a background where he already knew that I wouldn't be here, is that, okay, I went for the green card process. This is, it's not here or there. It's something that I've already said I was going to do back when I was first in the States in 2001. So I planned my life. It was always a thing for me that, look, I always saw America as where I wanted to live permanently. That's gone on basically my entire life. So I put things in place. My career was VIP hosting. I'd studied art, I studied design. I knew where I wanted to be in life, and I kept focusing. So my career path was always my career path. I enjoyed it. I'll tell you now, it was Caroline Wright, who was one of my bosses at the Powerhouse by Ridges in Tamworth, who actually, when I started hosting events there in 1999, including one where I'm taken for a photograph for the Millennium Ball. She used to have me hosting the ladies at luncheon in Monty's Civil Service restaurant. So she was the one who said, Justin, you've got to be a casino host. Go down to Sydney and apply for VIP host. So I did. I was moving back to Sydney anyway. My belongings, I'd already moved back to my grandparents' place in Kerry Road back around October 1998. Previously, before that, I moved back home to Sydney in 1995. It goes back and forth for a little bit. I've already explained this. Wasn't living out of Sydney for long. Just went high school in a different area. Back home in Sydney, studying at Newcastle, living on Central Coast at Daz at Empire Bay. Half my lessons were in Sydney. Back in 1996, I was either travelling on the train to Sydney from the Central Coast or travelling to Newcastle. There was actually information with the group that I was surrounded myself with then, where my mother lives, they actually was doing a competition for Models Quest. I've explained all this. I don't have to go over it again. This is the past. That's the 90s. That's what I did. But it just explains why I was back and forth, which I don't see the big deal. My family have moved from different areas. So there's been, I've lived here, they've lived there, I've travelled here and so forth. It's all explained. Okay. Without getting off the point. So, I did put myself in my career. So let's get back to the reason we're with the hosting. Yeah, Caroline Wright. She actually said, go and apply for VIP host. You'll be brilliant at it. And that was my career path. So I got the job, so forth. Went to the US January and February 2001. Came back, was working at Star Casino since March 2001. Still focused on my art, still focused on my design, which I previously studied in the 90s. It was all there. Yep, then I did get mugged after work, November 30th, 2007. My employment continued to October 2009. Now, I can explain this till I'm blue in the face, but it's best to do it in front of a magistrate because if I'm being honest, if there wasn't a shuffle with my department at the time, and there was a shuffle, what they did, we went from being VIP services, which was under Saro Mignoni, and we were VIP services that forms under the Department of, marketing and customer relations. And then they merged the organizations within Star Casino, they merged them. So they merged electronic gaming with the host department, and there was so many redundancies given. I think even a guy that I was working with, Ronaldo Santos, he got redundancy. But look, they gave redundancy to a lot of the old staff. It just so happened that what worked out beneficial for the casino was I got mugged on the way home from work. So if they kept me off work, they didn't have to offer me redundancy. That's what I've said the entire time. I said, look, it's purely about money. Part salary payment for 10 years, this, if you look at how much money they have to pay me for those 10 years, that's less than what it would be for redundancy. If I got my job back while they're offering redundancy, of course I'm going to accept redundancy, but that's a lot of money. I've been with the company for 10 years. And that's all I had to do with. It's about money. Now, so pin that, because I've already said this several times. I'm not going to keep explaining myself. Would have had a better idea if a solicitor wasn't doing things through email and over the phone and taking the information from my ex-partner, and actually sat down in the office with me and we discussed it, which is what I've been asking for ever since. I was like, can we just talk about this face to face? Can we discuss this? But it never happened, which is why I think it's disgusting. It's like, I'm sorry, but you're my solicitor. Can we discuss this and talk about what's going on? Because the way you are handling my matter is ridiculous. But it never got discussed, ever. So I never actually had a say in anything that went on. So understanding that, okay, then, things happen in life. I leave a relationship, I fall into another one, whatever. Giovanni comes along. I never knew Giovanni Craig Consalvo or Jonathan Craig Consalvo, whatever he goes by, Gio. I never knew him when I was mugged. So like I've said to people, okay, and I'm not going to say anything negative about him except what he's done. So people find this negative. It's like, well, that's not on me. I'm just going to repeat what he's done. So, yes, I was mugged after work. Yes, I had a course of recovery to go through. It was bad. At first, the migraines were just unbearable. Nowhere like I've had them this week. Fine. Now, he knows what I went through with certain parts. So I'll say it again, Giovanni has no idea what happened when I was mugged because I wasn't with him. But he does know what I went through in certain parts of it. Okay, so I can say, well, hang on a minute. My ex-partner, Gio, he was there. He witnessed that. He can be a witness to that situation that actually went on if you don't want to believe me. What he ended up doing, however, which ended up hindering my credibility, let's get to further what went on. So 2009, when he was still very much a stranger to me because I only just met him in August 2008, really didn't start affiliating with him until after the 19th of September 2008. He came over and stayed at my place and stayed. 2009. I didn't care. I was like, oh, look, I'm busy studying. It was fun to hang around with when we started dating. But I was so busy because I went back to full-time TAFE college studies while I was off work. So I studied at MO Design Centre, Design Events Illustration. I was flat out. I didn't have time for a relationship, didn't have time for anyone. I barely saw him. Now, I did forward my mobile and forward it to my home phone. And I said, oh, this is brilliant, because it was off the work. I said, you can answer my phone calls. Like that. Yeah, I did do that. I was like, you can answer the phone calls. I don't want to be disrupted during class for meaningless stuff to do with workers' comp or anything like this. Like I've said so many times when I've tried to meet with solicitors, I'm like, okay, I don't have time throughout the day to be here at your beck and call, which is what you think I am, because you think that I'm at home doing nothing all day when I'm actually busy. So if you can't find time to fit in with me, so I just forward my mobile to the home phone. I had my landline, so Giovanni could answer it and just take messages. That's what was meant to happen. Okay? Went further with that. And this is what was going on. I'm too busy. I was studying at MO Design Centre, TAFE College, and then I was working for Steve Hash and Dimitri on the side whenever I had a chance. Then I was still doing labouring on the side for this maintenance guy. I mean, Christ, Giovanni was working at Manta Restaurant, so what, in 2010, and I'm still doing labouring for maintenance back then. I'm like, I'm just too busy. I'm sorry. And then you want me to fit in my recovery through this, where I've got a slip disc in my back now, damage to my left eye, and so forth. I said, my life's too busy. So that's what it was. Didn't get listened to. 2010, I went further and I studied at Coca Republic, which, yes, Coca Republic is it's a specialist designer shop. Back in 2020, actually, back in 2018, the school was still attached to it. So when I was studying at MO Design Centre, TAFE College, looking at whatever branches TAFE College has, TAFE College was connected with Coca Republic. So you're getting taught by actual designers. I thought this is brilliant. I want to do more in interior design. And I changed and went to Coca Republic and I studied the interior decoration course there, which is a TAFE College course through them. And it's affiliated with MO Design Centre. That's what I was doing in 2010. Meanwhile, I'm still working. I'm working for Steve Hatch and Dimitri. I did that right into 2012. I'm working for this guy. I can't even think of his name now. He was, he was a Latino guy that used to do, there was a couple of guys that used to do maintenance for the real estate agent, Bresic Whitney, and he was one of them. And I got talking to him once, and he was meant to fix something in my place. I said, oh, look, I can do it. And said, look, I've done maintenance before in my when I was a teenager and so forth, and I've done that many vanities and I can do this. So I started doing some work with him, including myself and him did work on one of my neighbour, Cartier, who lived a couple of doors down from me on Cleveland Street, on her place in a bathroom. So, I was doing this as well. I was just busy. Then I started applying for the green card. I did my application in 2011. So this is where I'm getting the background, because I just continuously didn't really, as much as what people think, I didn't grab hold of my relationship as strong as what people thought. So what family members thought, because they always saw me as a family function with my partner. I was like, yeah, but we hardly see each other unless I'm seeing my family. So the actual facts were I hardly saw Gio when I was busy, unless it had something to do with my family. Now that's the truth. I applied for the green card. I submitted my application in 2012 after completing it in 2011. So the next cutoff date was actually 2012. I couldn't submit it in 2011. I had to submit it in 2012 for that group to go through. When I submitted it in 2012, I said, well, I better make an entry to the US. I haven't been in America since 2001. So I had planned to go to the US in June 2012. However, I was moving. We moved from Surrey Hills. We're staying at the family holiday house on the Central Coast. Found an apartment in Sydney that wasn't quite suited. So I was waiting for another apartment to come available. So it was like, moving. There's too much going on. I said, look, I'm going to leave going to America into next year. So I made it March 2013. So there wasn't anything spontaneous about it. It was like, okay, next year comes around March, I'll be in America. Okay, this is a long circle around to get to the information. I understand this. But it gives some background that Giovanni knew I'll be out of the country in March 2013. Leading up to March 2013, he went around and he was getting letters of doctors to have March 2013 off work when he knew that I would be out of the country March 2013. The letters said that he was a carer and had to be at home to look after me. He told his work colleagues, Nazana, Lara. I've seen the messages. I saw the message. I still had them on my computer, which he found in 2015, which is why the lies went further. He deleted them off my computer. He said I was trying to entrap him or something. I'm like, no, but this proves. So I knew he was dodgy for a long time. And that's the truth. So he did delete these. So I kept folders on my computer of text messages that he'd send people about me that wasn't true, and I could back it up where I wasn't there. I was working, I was studying, I was at my mother's, or I was out of the country. March 2013 was one of those, and he told his employer that I was having an episode, I was at home, I was depressed and suicidal. He told George Jacobs this. George Jacobs raised concerns with some crisis group, and I had my life harassed. I wasn't in the country. I only found this out when I came back to Australia, spoke to George Jacobs, and he's like, I was so concerned about you. I had Giovanni, and he crying his eyes out because of your behaviour towards him. I'm like, what? I'm like, fucking, he should be locked up. I'm like, I wasn't in the country. George Jacobs refused to believe me. He refused to believe me that I was in the country. I'm like, I wasn't in the country. None of this happened. What you've been told has not happened. It's a lie. He goes, well, and he didn't believe me because the way Giovanni was and the acting that he did, George Jacobs refused to believe me, and he refused to remove the information. He refused to send, because I said to him, I said, can you go back and tell the organisation that's not true? No. I'm like, but I can prove that I've just come back. I literally just come back into Sydney, and the first person who I saw when I came back was my ex-stepmother, Debbie Smith, so Sky Sheridan Fleming's mother, and her partner, and we had lunch at Watson's Bay. I just arrived back in Sydney. I had a little present from Mexico City for her, and I gave her for my sister Sky. Well, she ended up keeping it. I said, well, you and Sky can have it, Debs. So yeah, and I'm like, I'm not here in the country, and what you've got is not true. This went on for years, so you can say now that's how long this has been going on for. So I did find out in 2013. What I should have done then was pursue it further. Instead, I kept the text messages that I saw on Giovanni's phone, what he sent to people, what he had sent to his own family, which is a complete lie, and they're going, you bastard. So I knew, I'd already distanced myself from Giovanni back in 2011, knowing what he was like. This continued in 2013. I'm looking at what he'd been saying about me, and I'm like, you fucking asshole. I'm not in the country. Look at what you've said. So I'm like, are you high on crystal meth? Because, and yeah, he gets, fuck it. He lied about me. I'll tell the truth about him. He gets fisted in the ass. And to be able to do that, he has to be on crystal meth. Yeah, I don't participate. So that's why he was off always screwing around. And that's true. So every time he's calling his father in tears, you can guarantee it must be a Tuesday or Wednesday. And that's what was going on. And I'm getting phone calls from his father going, what's wrong with my son? He's shaping up to me. I'm like, I haven't seen your son for days. Like, last time I saw your son was almost a week ago. He's been off again with whatever group he's hanging around with. And this is the fucking truth. He's not a carer. He's a scammer. Police should have arrested him for the fraud, should have arrested him for the forging of my signature, but they didn't. They didn't because the information that they thought was true about me, they just kept going with for this long. So yeah, he should be charged. He committed fraud. He knowingly sat back and committed fraud. And then to cover it up, he kept lying about me like he did in 2015 when I stayed away and he found the folder on my computer that had all the messages that he had been sending people. And he deleted it. He deleted it. And he knew then that I knew what he was doing. Also, I confronted him about my signature being on a document that I never signed. And that's true as well. So that's why since 2015, the lies about me has gotten worse because he was found out. And that is the God's honest truth. Now, I can't get it. I'm destroyed. My life's destroyed. Can't get any of it corrected. I don't have a decent family that actually had my back. Whatever they want to say, where they go, oh, we were trying to help. It's like, no, you weren't. You got given wrong information that what you were doing was acting upon wrong information. But my own family knows nothing about me. You just continue with this narcissistic behavior. You were told by me that I'm getting lied about. You didn't do anything. You just mocked me and was an arsehole to me, which is what made this so easy, my entire sort of life with Giovanni and why he got away with so much lies and fraud and why he was believed. All you have to do is focus on my family and look at that. And that's the truth. I mean, there was stuff that was said and I'm like, this doesn't match any facts at all. Look at the date. You know, there's times when he was in Adelaide and he's taking time off work saying he's at home with me. And I'm like, home with me? January 2011 when I'm actually at my grandmother's 80th. And last time I heard, Giovanni was in Adelaide with some guy that he was screwing around with. How was he? So he took all this time off work, but he kept writing down, it's for me. It was for me. I'm his carer. And he got done with it. And I've had my life destroyed. Not only that, I've had insurance, I've had solicitors, I've had workers covered. It's like they've all attacked me back. I'm like, you're attacking me. I'm the one that told you. I'm the one that has been saying the same thing now since I found out how bad things were in 2015. No one listened to me. Not one person's listened to me. I've gone through every single organisation and said, that information is not true. This is what happened. I've gone to my doctor, Dr. Baker, back in 2017 for fuck's sakes, and said, but this isn't true. I'm put under so much duress right now because these lies have gone on for so long and I'm getting harassed by organisations. I don't have a family to tell the truth. I've got no one. Can you listen to me and look at the documents? Just look at the facts. If I'm not in the country, then this didn't fucking happen. Do you think anyone just looked at a simple document? Oh, well, hang on. How could that have happened? He can't be in two places at once. I mean, he can't be in Sydney and New York at the same time. Exactly. That makes fucking sense, you idiot. How can this be happening when I'm not in the country? The same thing, January 2011. How the fuck, when I barely saw Giovanni? I didn't see him. I'm at my grandmother's 80th. He wasn't at my grandmother's 80th. Like, he was running around with some guy in Adelaide, probably doing drugs and doing what he does. There wasn't the relationship that everybody thought we fucking had. He showed up at workers' comp sort of meetings because my solicitor, James Caspidas, after I got lied about with Dr. Melik, he said, look, bring a witness with you next time. But always bring Giovanni. And that's how it happened. I'm like, oh, okay. And Jesus Christ, he's your partner. Your partner shouldn't be paid to do what your partner is supposed to do, right? But he wanted to be paid to do what a partner does. That's pretty disgusting and sick. Oh, your partner's got to go to a meeting and he needs a witness. So his attitude was, oh, can't you bring a family member? I'm like, you're my partner. Jesus Christ, if my mother had to go to a meeting, she would bring her partner. If my sister had to go to a meeting, she would bring her husband. They don't ring me and say, oh, Justin, can you travel here? I've got a meeting to go to. No, they're in a relationship. Their relationship works together. You want to be paid for doing what a relationship does. You're a fucking cunt. You are a fucking scamming little cunt that's been a scamming little cunt since the day I met you and found you in a fucking share house with nothing. He's been a scamming little fucking cunt that will get away with it because of the last 9 years.